Welcome everyone. I am Curator Lisa D'Amico, and tonight we are debuting the Come As You Are exhibit, and we have a very special guest speaker this evening as well, who'll be speaking on the subject that the participating artists have so incredibly worked on. So tonight, there's well over 40 artists in the exhibit, and believe me, no two are alike. Each artist has taken a very unique, fascinating, exciting, interesting perspective on the exhibit's theme. So I love starting this off with the fact that no two bodies are exactly alike, and this exhibit exemplifies that. It also exemplifies the fact that everybody, whether, shape, size, color, ability differs, it doesn't matter. They all are valid, worthy of acceptance and respect. And I cannot tell you how excited I am about this exhibit. So tonight's guest speaker is Adam Neal, and he is a licensed therapist. He's also a PhD candidate, and he is the author of Bods Among Men. His book, Bods Among Men, is really a guidebook for reshaping how we think about ourselves in relationship to the food that we eat, the bodies that we move, the emotional and spiritual travails that consume us in our ongoing physical journey. And I really feel like his perspective, his book, is so in tune with this exhibit and the work that all of you amazing artists have created. I want to thank the Cultural Alliance of Western Connecticut for hosting this important exhibit. And I would also like to thank them for all that they do in the arts community. And for anyone listening, if you're not a member, I highly recommend that you become a member. They offer a huge amount of benefits to their artist members, but they also offer a lot of benefits to their non-artist members as well. So it's a benefit to all. So without further ado, I will welcome our guest speaker, Adam Neal. And just so that everyone knows, once Adam is done speaking, the Cultural Alliance has made a wonderful video that includes everyone's artwork. So we'll debut that as soon as he's done. So Adam, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm just going to hand it over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Lisa. It is such a privilege to be here with all of you to celebrate the opening of this important exhibit, Come As You Are. I also want to thank the Cultural Alliance of Western Connecticut for this opportunity, and the brilliant Lisa D'Amico for the honor of sharing with you all today. Sex educator and researcher, Dr. Emily Nagoski, in her New York Times best-selling book entitled Come As You Are, offers and reiterates an important point about our bodies. She says, we're all made of different parts. We're all made of the same parts, but in each of us, those parts are organized in a unique way that changes over our lifespan. The fascination and preoccupation with our body image says a lot about personal values, cultural values, the fluidity of body perception cross-culturally, and our body's ability to morph as circumstances shift. As Nagoski mentions, and many agree, one of the most important questions people ask themselves and others is my body okay? The moment we become conscious of interacting with our bodies, either alone or with others, we are concurrently making choices about how fully embodied to be. We do this in conscious ways, and we do this in unconscious ways. Coming as we are carries an important implication. If I come as I am, will I be accepted? Is my body safe here to be itself? I'll offer this idea as a simple question. How authentic am I in my body? If we contemplate this, we might find ourselves in a flurry of possibilities, from the impact of media representation on body image, to the ways in which white privilege, cisgender privilege, thin privilege, neurodevelopmental privilege, anatomical privilege, and so on, have prized the bodies of a majority group while rendering bodies of a non-majority group as other, as less than, less able, less desirable, less beautiful. In my book, Bods Among Men, I ask that readers consider their body not only as a single object or unified image, but also for the parts that give them the greatest joy or the strongest sense of shame. There are endless reasons why we come to believe that our bodies are flawed, unacceptable, or unworthy. In a mainstream culture that teaches us that our body is in endless need of improvement, can we give ourselves permission to celebrate our body, even one part, if not all at once? And if so, how do we go about it? In works such as Come As You Are by Carmaine Badi, and I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name, A Whole by Andrew Maisonette, and Bollywood Dancer by Colette Fournier, we witness a celebration of different parts of the body, some of which we see, and some of which remain beautifully mysterious in their absence. In seeing parts of the body rather than the whole, we are reminded of both the significance of such parts and also the uniqueness of their manifestation among all of us. No two hands, no 2 feet, no 2 hearts are exactly alike. Even among identical twins, their hands, their feet, and their hearts have been through different experiences that have shaped and reshaped them over their lives. We might consider the lens of sexuality, which is inextricable from considerations of the body. Coming as we are might mean the freedom to experience all the pleasure that our body has to offer us and others, from physical closeness to ecstatic experiences and beyond. We have inherited an often unspoken paradox about the body in today's mainstream world. We learn that our body is a complex set of functioning parts, all in need of balance. And at the same time, we learn that our body is a singular, aesthetic, sociocultural object that can never be fully balanced because the aesthetic, like cultural values, keeps changing. How does our body inform the spaces that we occupy? And how do the spaces that we occupy inform our bodies? When representing the body in art, what are the forces acting upon it? To come as we are is an active intention, an ongoing choice, rather than a static state of being. We are always in a state of flux, and this includes our body. Psychologist Dr. Bessel van der Kolk is credited with shifting our understanding of trauma with his book, The Body Keeps the Score. An artist representing a body is inevitably endowing that body with the energy of their own body. The artist is also manifesting innumerable cultural forces in the choice of which body to represent and how to do so. Suzanne Valadon, a French artist born in 1865, began her artistic career in Paris in the late 19th century as a model to such figures as Renoir and Toulouse-Lautrec. She began modeling because she could not afford training herself, and in fact, she never became formally trained. By the early 20th century, her own paintings were highly regarded by Renoir and other contemporaries like Degas, and she became the first woman painter accepted as a member of the National Society of Fine Arts in Paris. Her paintings included partially nude and fully nude women and men of different body types. She notably included elements such as body hair and conventionally unattractive poses. And she willingly depicted men's bodies in the same potential context as that of the odalisque tradition, which usually involved physically attractive, mostly nude women, and held historical connotations of misogyny through objectification and servitude. We might argue that Valadon's painting of bodies was deeply influenced by her many years as a model first, and that this embodied knowledge contributed to her astonishing inclusion in the art world as a low-income woman with no formal training. Despite her talents and contributions during her lifetime, Valadon's artwork was considered controversial in its depictions of the body. She died in 1938 and was not given a major solo exhibition in the United States until September 2021, when she was honored with her first show at the Barnes Foundation in Philadelphia. Valadon's pioneering approach to body representation challenged the misogynistic undercurrent of the odalisque genre and sought to reclaim the body as beautiful, worthy, and authentic, regardless of societal conventions of gender, race, age, or size. The spirit of her work can now be seen in new works here, like Sugar Goddess by Jennifer Jackowitz, In Bed by Michael Kraft, La Maja Desnuda by Dina Belyaeva, and A Funny Thing Happened on My Way to 60 by Barbara Chen. In the age of social media, augmented reality, and virtual reality, embodiment is taking on new meanings. When we come as we are in a virtual space, what is the relationship between our posted body and our actual body? What connection do we forge between our avatar image and our real body image? Does the virtual world provide an opportunity to expand our physicality or bypass it? Is there a way to feel physically present so that our virtual presence is more grounded? Aside from virtual objects, what about the physical technologies we wear, or the assistive technologies that allow us to move our body parts or our whole body in ways otherwise not possible for us? The ongoing and evolving interplay of technology and the body, as well as its cultural impact, is exemplified in works here, such as Body Image by Lauren Clark, Broken Crayon Still Color by Diana Mamon, and You Are Special by John Mulhern. Dr. Howard Gardner, a developmental psychologist and professor at Harvard University's Graduate School of Education, proposed the theory of multiple intelligences in the mid-1980s. He highlighted bodily kinesthetic intelligence as one of 9 different types. With high bodily kinesthetic intelligence, we might be particularly adept at feeling our pulse without touching our wrist or neck. We might know earlier than most when we're coming down with an illness, or sense precisely where to massage someone telling us of some physical discomfort. By recognizing multiple areas of intelligence, rather than placing primary emphasis on reasoning and all things rational, Gardner understood that multiple intelligences means multiple ways of knowing, and being able to demonstrate that knowing to varying degrees of sophistication. When we consider a fascinating phenomenon like synesthesia, in which a sensory experience blends with another, we often think of people who see colors associated with different sounds. We think of those who report that certain words make them experience a particular shape or smell or even taste in their mind. What if we were to take such a phenomenon and apply it conceptually to our bodily kinesthetic intelligence in the creation of art? We could decide to paint the way a sneeze happens to us, or sculpt the experience of a headache, or produce an abstract visual of the way our toes tingle when we're enraptured by a kiss. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence attunes us to the infinite ways our body moves, whether tying our shoelaces or performing complex choreography. Such intelligence lets us know not only that we have entered a space, but how we have entered it. With this, our physical interactions with objects and others can become their own dance. Coming into a room as we truly are kinesthetically then takes on a more multidimensional meaning. Do we come as someone confident, someone guarded, someone who has been praised for their body, or someone who has endured consistent body shaming? Greater bodily kinesthetic intelligence means a greater ability to stave off physical issues like pulled muscles or even broken bones. A visual artist with high bodily kinesthetic intelligence can sense the bodily positions and postures that suit them best while working without a lengthy process of thinking it through. Cultivating this intelligence can also mean expanding one's art practice and possibilities. Such intelligence has been demonstrated by artists who paint with different parts of their bodies, who execute paintings for multiple positions, and who depict subtle nuances like facial expressions or the impact of a body's weight in different environments. We can consider this form of intelligence an integral part of art making and art viewing. As an audience member or observer of an art product, imagine the additional depths of appreciation we might glean when considering not only the art product image itself, but the movements the artist's body had to make as they created it. We learn, for example, about the action painting of Jackson Pollock and the vibrancy and energy of his approach. We learn of Michelangelo's painstaking work on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, and yet the images themselves take primary focus over the influence their fatigued muscles might have had as they worked. Frida Kahlo's body was incapacitated for much of her painting work, and the influence of being bedridden or unable to stand fully balanced cannot be disregarded when we admire her brushwork and imagery. How much emphasis is placed on the subtle movements of fingers, the sway of the neck, the pressure on the back, or the seemingly infinite other bodily kinesthetic considerations of art. When considering the physical acts that go into any art product, we add dimensionality to our perspective as observers, and we honor the fullness of the artist's experience by refusing to minimize the body that created the work. Lastly, how do we consider what constitutes the representation of a body in art? What is the threshold between calling an artwork pure abstraction versus a portrait or other body depiction? Might our bodily kinesthetic intelligence tell us that an artist's intention was to represent the body in a work if, perhaps, the work seems to have no apparent body shapes and the work is untitled? Here, we see diverse approaches to body representation in works such as Linnaeus by Christine Chase Greenwood, Scars by Debbie Silberberg, and Love Your Body by Lauren Rosito. When we consider the body politic of Connecticut today, or the United States today, or the entirety of human civilization today, what might that body look like as a human one? Is it a white, wafy, able-bodied, cisgender woman with symmetrical facial features? Is it a tall, black, muscular, transgender man? Is it a full-figured, multiracial, gender non-conforming adolescent? To answer the question I posed earlier, how do we go about celebrating the body? I believe we do this by intentionally giving ourselves the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual space to do so. Physical and virtual spaces, like the space now created through the artwork of Come As You Are a gift to us as we seek healing from the oppression of our body image and what it has endured. And it gives us renewal in the creative reformulation of what a body can be. In forging such spaces, we move toward a full embrace of our own body and the body of another for the miracle it truly is. Thank you all so much for this opportunity. And if there's any questions at all, I will be happy to address.
If anyone in the audience has a question, please feel free to unmute yourself and to ask Adam. Adam, I have a question. First of all, I would like to thank you for not only including art history in your talk, but also including artwork in Come As You Are in your talk. Tell me, when you were doing the art history part and looking into different works, which artist, if you could pick one, really struck you the most, and why?
Which artist in history,
Yes.
not which artist.
Not in the exhibit, because I feel like that wouldn't be fair, but definitely.
Yes. And I will also say that my decision to include or not include artists has nothing to do at all with my feelings about the merit of all of the wonderful art here. So I wanted to make sure and say that. And as far as who to include, for me, one of the strongest people was Frida Kahlo, because when I consider the relationship between incapacitation and creation, this is not just true of Frida Kahlo, but of so many different artists, that being incapacitated physically, having a body that doesn't do things the way that most people's bodies do things, it offers a different perspective, and it gives someone the opportunity to, or sometimes creates the necessity for someone to approach things in different ways. Certain stories came to mind immediately for me, like when we learn about Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel and having to be literally laying down on his back with all this scaffolding, and what that means, because we can talk about it taking a toll, but we often hear less about the extent to which it influenced the way the image ended up. And of course, today, it's more often the case that artwork is done not over the course of many, many years, especially in visual arts, but that the ability to complete paintings in a certain amount of time factors into the ability to have many art products available for sale or in general. So some of those considerations came up for me around art history. And I also placed focus more on the visual arts than in other forms of art, since this is more about visual arts here than the performing arts.
Thank you so much. Does anyone else have a question? Okay. So I think it's time to meet the artists through their artwork. And I think everyone will see that this exhibit definitely is striving to create a cultural conversation. And it definitely challenges the viewer to maybe redefine our way of seeing the human form, and definitely to contemplate how we think about our bodies in a different way, from a different perspective. So I am going to start the slideshow, just so that everyone in the audience knows. The slideshow is about 6 minutes long. I did not create it. It was created by the staff at the Cultural Alliance, and I'd like to thank them for putting it together. And I'm going to test my technical skills and start the video. So, as everyone can see, the work in this exhibit is outstanding. Complex, diverse, it shines a light from
This is
many.
lupin, the first device for hacking your metabolism. With just one breath,
Sorry about that. So I highly recommend that everyone please see the exhibit up close. Go to cawct.org. I will also send the link to all the participating artists. This reception will be on the Cultural Alliance's YouTube channel. And the conversation doesn't end here. All the participating artists in the exhibit will have the opportunity to speak solo about their work. They can speak with me and I can interview them, or they can do it on their own and submit it. And that will be posted on social media and again on the YouTube channel as well throughout the duration of this exhibit. The work will be on exhibit through October. So I want to keep this conversation going that long. It's a visual experience, but we also need to make it an oral one too. And I appreciate Adam Neal for joining us. You were just wonderful, and thank you for shining your light on this from so many different perspectives and tying in our history and tying in the artist's work. It's been really wonderful. I'll also send everyone the QR code that was in the video so that you can share it as well. And I think we're going to wrap it up now. So please visit the website. Again, it's CAWCT. And thank you for coming as you are. Good night, everybody.